Hey guys, welcome to the latest Korean film review. This is The Witness. This is a new Korean thriller that was just released today in theaters. This was directed by Jo Kyu-jang. He directed a romantic comedy a few years back, I believe in 2015, which really didn't make any waves, so this one didn't know a lot about what to expect going in. The trailer left me with very average expectations, if not below average. This film stars Lee Sung-min, who we just saw give probably a career best performance in The Spy Gone North. That just released last week. So it was really kind of cool to go into this movie to see him back to back. He's got two movies released in theaters right now in Korea, so I was like, okay, how is he going to be different in this one? He's a face that I think a lot of people know and have seen before, but his name isn't really a household name. But I think after these two movies, he's going to be much more of a household name. The Witness is definitely not on the same level as The Spy Gone North. However, it does end up being what I would describe as an above average thriller. So in this film, Lee Sung-min plays kind of your everyday Korean man. He's a hard worker. He does have a family with a young daughter, and they just moved into what I would say a very typical residential neighborhood, and that in Seoul, that would mean big apartment, sprawling apartment complex. If you guys have seen any Korean films or visited Korea, you know what I'm talking about. Very recently after moving in, he comes home late one night from a after work drinking event, which is pretty common here. Maybe a few too much to drink, but there is crazy screaming going on outside. And even another woman in the building asks him, like, did you hear that crazy screaming outside? So when he gets up to his house on the 6th floor, he gets a beer and then hears the scream. Goes out on the balcony, witnesses a brutal, cold-blooded murder. Some crazy guy killing this woman. So just right before he's going to report it, his wife comes out, which triggers a balcony light to turn on, and the killer looks up and sees somebody up there. And in probably one of the creepiest things I've seen in a long time, the killer starts counting the floors with his finger up to where Lee Sung-min was in the balcony area. This is the crisis moment of this movie. Now, the next morning, when the detectives arrive and everything, they cannot find anyone claiming that they saw or heard anything, which is extremely bizarre, especially if you can see the living situation with these huge apartment complexes. For someone to be screaming bloody murder on the first floor area in the courtyard, and for nobody to report anything, bizarre. However, this kind of sets up the whole kind of message that this film is going for, which I'll get into a little bit later, about reporting culture, which really involves people doing their utmost to stay out of other people's business, even when it comes to crime, witnessing crime, and other things like that. So, the detective on the case is played by Kim Sang-ho, who is probably one of my favorite supporting actors in Korea. He's in films like Punch, and he was in The Happy Life. He was also recently in a film that was at the Jeonju Film Festival this year as it was an ensemble piece, but he was he was the father figure in the Yakiniku Dragon Japanese-Korean drama film. So I was really looking forward to his performance in this one. Came out pretty good. He's just kind of a regular detective, devoted to his job, devoted to the truth. We don't really know much other about him. He just does a solid job, but it's just a detective. And the killer in this movie is gotta be up there with one of the most generic psychopaths in any type of killer movie. This guy is so generic, and he has the most questionable killer tactics and strategies I've ever seen. I don't know how he's managed to get away thus far. It's just so face-palmingly, he's a bad killer. But he's actually pretty freaky. He throws some people around, and he's got crazy hammer skills. So when he's actually coming after people, it's pretty freaky. He's just There's no depth to this guy. He's just a force to be feared. The big takeaway aspect from this movie is its message of reporting culture in Korea. Perhaps an excuse for one of the reasons why people don't want to come forward in a situation like this. But for whatever reason, Korean people do not like to get in other people's business. Let me give you some examples. Let's say someone's acting fishy, to say the least, on the subway train, perhaps harassing girls or what have you. People just tend to be quiet and move away. Whereas I feel like in other countries, perhaps in America, where I'm from, somebody's gonna knock that guy out, or someone's gonna do something to stop them. It really doesn't happen here. Perhaps somebody calls the police to make a report, but no one's gonna directly get involved. I did have a personal experience one time in Gangnam area, which is a very busy, high commercial spot in South Korea, where this kind of half homeless man, half drunk guy kind of grabbed me one day in the middle of the day, demanding that I give him something on me. I think he wanted, like, you know, it's a coin or something, some change. But he grabbed me really tight and he was shaking me. I didn't really know any Korean at that time. I was trying to get him off me. There was tons of people passing. No one helped me. No one, they wanted to get as far away as possible, even though it clearly looked like this kind of drunken homeless man was assaulting me. So I do have some personal experience with this, and I get how this message is being portrayed. If you didn't know that that was kind of the tendency here, I'm not sure if that's going to come across, or you might wonder why is this even an issue in this movie of being a witness and not reporting. One of the other issues in the movie which is raised is there's kind of the chief community leader in the area is trying to get everyone to sign this document saying that they didn't see something, out of concern that possibly the value of their housing area will go down if, you know, they do have a murder here. They would almost rather it be an unsolved case or perhaps a suicide, but they did not want to have a murder reported in that area for fears of the price or the value of their house going down. And perhaps the one final aspect of the not reporting culture is society's lack of confidence in the law enforcement to kind of carry out the law enforcement aspect of this. So there does seem to be some legitimate concern of perhaps the cops are going to let this guy get away and he's going to come back and get his revenge on me. So I want to stay away as far as possible and protect my family. So that was one other aspect of coming forward. The movie does do a really good job of trying to get people to change in that respect, and showing how disastrous keeping things back and how it can build and cause other unforeseen consequences than if you had come forward in the first place. So I did really like that aspect of this movie. It was something that it's always kind of bothered me living here. People not really wanting to call bad when they see it for fear of getting involved. So I did really like that from an outsider's perspective. I thought that was an awesome message, and it did kind of raise the stakes, raise the bar a little bit for this movie, kind of bringing it from a very average thriller to an interesting, more than watchable, slightly above average thriller. And especially towards the end, as the film is building towards its pretty gripping final confrontation showdown, which I think will surprise a lot of people in how kind of well that was shot, which is another thing about this movie in general. This is a very well shot movie. It looks really good. It's just kind of filled with generic characters, so there's not a lot of personality to inhabit this world that they create. There are a few too many moments in this movie that are going to make you facepalm, and you're going to be wondering, why would anybody do that in that situation? It just does not seem very intelligent. Korea is known for having very good thriller films, The Chaser probably being the best one as an example. So if I would compare The Witness to that, it's very, very far below that. But in terms of being just a very watchable, above average thriller movie, The Witness succeeds there. And considering its message, I'm gonna give The Witness a pretty solid 6 out of 10. So don't expect a lot of deep characterization in this one, but just a very watchable, pretty thrilling, and well shot movie. So if The Witness manages to come near you, it's a good escape from the heat. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So if you like this video and you want to see more like it, other fresh Korean review videos, you can like this video, you can share it, you can subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Until next time, this is Tyler from The Movie Beat, so just keep watching movies.